let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a story that's, well, it's about a lot more than just buying a house. It's about completely rewiring how you think about money. We're talking about taking that deep, sinking feeling you get as a renter and turning it into an actual plan, a plan to build a real estate empire one step at a time.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Lying on a couch that's not even yours, scrolling through Zillow. And you're not even dream shopping anymore. It's more like you're checking a wound. You're just looking to see how much worse it got today, how much further away that dream is. It's this quiet little panic so many of us feel every single night.
And this is the number that just pours gasoline on that fire. $408,800. That's the median home price in America. We're not talking LA or New York. This is the middle. To most people looking at their bank account, that number might as well be $1 billion. It just feels completely out of reach.
And then you look at your savings, what you've scraped together, $11,200. You put those two numbers side by side. It's not a gap. It's a chasm, a Grand Canyon of financial impossibility.
Let's just be honest, the math doesn't work. It just doesn't. You can try to budget, you can try to save, but for most of us with a regular job, the old school path to buying a home, it feels broken. It is broken. Okay, so what if the problem isn't the math at all? What if the problem is the way we're thinking about the math? The big aha moment here wasn't some lucky break. It came from a simple post on a random internet forum that completely flipped the script. It was about seeing a house not as a giant expense, but as a vehicle. And this right here, this is the whole game. On one side, you have the renter mindset. It's what we're all taught, right? Debt is bad, debt is dangerous. A house is just this huge cost that drains your bank account. But then, look at the other side, the investor mindset. Here, debt isn't danger, it's an engine. And a house, it's not a cost, it's a vehicle to get you somewhere else. So once that switch flips in your brain, everything changes. You stop doom scrolling on Zillow and you start actually learning. You start to pick up the language of investors. You figure out what a cap rate is. You know, this simple little formula that basically tells you if a property is a good deal or not. This isn't just a bunch of fancy words. It's you starting to look at real estate like a business, not just a place to live. And you know what happens when you start learning this stuff? Opportunity starts to find you. It's not going to be on some app. In this story, it was just a casual conversation. Somebody mentioned a duplex that wasn't even listed for sale, right near a hospital that was about to expand. And that's the moment, right? That's when all the reading and learning has to turn into actually doing something. Okay, let's look at the actual math, because this is where it gets good. The net cash flow is $486 a month. Now, that's not retire to an island money, not even close, but look at what's really happening. The rent you're collecting from your tenants, it pays the entire mortgage. It pays the taxes, the insurance, and leaves a little extra for when things break. You see, this isn't just a few $100. This is the very beginning of a machine. And man, the feeling of that, it's just different. You know, getting a paycheck is one thing, but waking up every morning knowing that two other people are paying down your mortgage, building your wealth while you sleep, that's a whole other level. It completely changes your relationship with money, with time, with everything. So that first deal, that's the proof of concept. It works. And suddenly that terror you felt signing the papers, it's gone. It's replaced by focus. And the question becomes really simple. Okay, that worked. Now, how do I do it again, but bigger? And just look at this timeline. Look at the acceleration. You go from basically zero net worth at age 27 to almost 400 grand by 34. And let's be super clear. This isn't from saving 10% of a paycheck. This is the power of owning assets that other people are buying for you. This brings us to a really important rule. The only house that makes you richer while you sleep is the one someone else is paying for. So what do you do next? You go back to that first duplex, you refinance it, and you pull out all the equity that your tenants have built up. But you don't go buy a boat. No. You reposition that cash. You use it as a down payment on the next property. See? This is how the machine starts to copy itself. All right, so the next big jump is a 6-unit building, and this is where things really change. It's a whole different ballgame. You're not just a landlord getting calls about a leaky faucet anymore. You are now officially becoming the operator of a business. Yeah, there's a really clear line in the sand here. When you have less than 5 units, you pretty much are the business. You're doing it all yourself. But once you cross that 5 unit threshold, you have to build a business. You got to hire property management. You're dealing with commercial loans now, not residential ones. You even need a different kind of accountant. It's a total level up. And when you start operating like a real business, you unlock some seriously powerful tools. You start learning about things like cost segregation. I know, it sounds complicated, but it's basically a super smart tax strategy the IRS is totally cool with that can slash your tax bill. And all that money you save on taxes, you guessed it, it goes right back into the machine to buy more properties. And then it happens. You cross that 7-figure mark, $1 million in real estate. You'd think it would feel like this huge celebration, pure pride. But honestly, it's not. It's, wait, a heavy feeling. Suddenly, you're responsible for all these tenants, all these loans. It's the weight of this real, tangible thing you've built from absolute scratch. So if you want to keep growing from there, you have to evolve again. The machine needs more fuel. And this is where syndication comes in. Basically, you start raising money from other people. You find investors who have the cash, but don't have the time or the know-how to find the deals. So now, you're not just using the bank's money, you're using other people's money too. And this is where you learn another big rule. Most people think they want cash flow. They're chasing that monthly check. But what you actually want is control. Control over the property, control over the debt, control over when and how you sell, because that's where the real life-changing wealth is made. So eventually, you sell that little duplex, the one that started this whole journey. But you don't just cash out and pay a massive tax bill. No way. You use a slick little tool called a 1031 exchange. It lets you take all the profit from that sale and roll it directly into buying a much bigger property, in this case, a 32-unit building, without paying a dime in capital gains tax. You're basically trading up, and you're forcing the tax man's money to keep working for you. And by this point, maybe 10 years in, you realize something. Your reputation? It has become a financial instrument. It's your most valuable asset. Because you've spent a decade keeping your promises, brokers now call you first with the best deals, the ones that never even hit the market. Sellers know you're good for it. Your word, your trust, it's basically a form of currency. So what does all of this boil down to? What are the lessons here? It's simple, really. Real estate rewards being specific. Forget all the rah-rah motivation stuff. You need to pick one city, one neighborhood, one type of property, and just go deeper than anyone else. Become an expert. Because I promise you, the person who's waiting for the perfect conditions to start, they're still going to be waiting 20 years from now. And so here we are, right back where we started, full circle, looking at that big, scary number. And you know, right now, at this very second, someone is lying on their rental couch, scrolling on their phone, looking at that exact same number and feeling that exact same knot in their stomach. That feeling that it's just impossible. The starting point never changes. So we'll just leave you with this final thought. The question isn't whether it's the right time to buy. The question is, what do your next 20 years look like if you do nothing, if you just keep waiting? Because that machine we talked about, it doesn't get started with inspiration. It gets started with one small, specific, and frankly, terrifying first step.